For 21 days, my wife didn't touch me once. Not a hand on my shoulder, not a kiss goodnight, not even eye contact when we passed each other in the hallway. Then, on day 22, she smiled at me for the first time in 3 weeks and asked me for $5,000. My name's Marcus. I'm 34. And this is the story of the night I finally stopped being the guy who says yes just to keep the peace. It started small. Jenna and I had been married 6 years, and like every couple, we had our quiet stretches. But this one felt different. She stopped answering when I said good morning. She stopped sitting next to me on the couch, choosing the armchair across the room instead. When I asked what was wrong, I got the same answer every single time. I'm fine. I just need space. So I gave her space. Day after day. I told myself she was stressed from work, that maybe her sister's divorce was weighing on her, that maybe I was overthinking a rough patch that would pass on its own. I made her coffee every morning anyway. I still texted her during the day, even when she left me on red. I kept showing up because that's what I thought marriage meant. By the second week, I wasn't sleeping right. I'd lie there next to a woman who felt like a stranger, staring at the ceiling, wondering what I'd done wrong. I replayed every conversation we'd had, searching for the moment I must have messed up. I found nothing. That was almost worse. Not knowing was its own kind of exhausting. I started noticing the small things more than I ever had before. The way she'd angle her body slightly away from me on the couch. The way her replies got shorter and shorter, one-word answers where there used to be whole conversations. I even started second-guessing myself at work, distracted, replaying the silence at home instead of focusing on what was in front of me. A few of my buddies noticed I wasn't myself. One of them, Derek, asked me straight up if everything was okay at home. I told him it was fine. I wasn't ready to say it out loud yet because saying it out loud would make it real. I tried one more time, on a Tuesday night over dinner. Jenna, talk to me. Whatever's going on, we can figure it out together. I just need to know what I'm dealing with. She didn't even look up from her plate. Can you not make everything a conversation? I said I'm fine. I stopped asking after that. Not because I stopped caring, but because I was tired of hitting the same wall. Then came day 22. I walked in from work and something was different before I even said a word. The lights were on. Music was playing low in the kitchen. Jenna turned around when she heard the door, and for the first time in 3 weeks she smiled at me. A real smile. Warm, like nothing had happened. Hey babe, she said, walking over and kissing my cheek. How was your day? I stood there for a second, almost dizzy from the sudden change. Part of me wanted to believe we'd finally turned a corner. Another part of me, the part that had spent 3 weeks feeling invisible in my own home, stayed cautious. We sat down for dinner, and she was talkative, engaged, laughing at things that weren't even that funny. Then, right after I took my first bite, she set her fork down and folded her hands. So, I wanted to talk to you about something, she said, her voice suddenly careful. My friend Danielle is starting a skincare business, and she's looking for investors. I told her I'd talk to you about putting in $5,000. It's a really smart opportunity, Marcus. I've seen her business plan. It's solid. I put my own fork down slowly. $5,000. I know it sounds like a lot, but think about it as an investment in our future, too. I'd be a partner. This could really pay off. I looked at her for a long moment, and something inside me that had been quietly building for 3 weeks finally reached its limit. Jenna, you didn't speak to me for 3 weeks. You wouldn't even look at me half the time. And the first real conversation we've had since then is you asking me for $5,000? Her smile faded fast. Why does it always have to be about that? This is a business opportunity. It's not about the money, I said, keeping my voice level even though my chest felt tight. It's about the fact that you ignored me for 3 weeks straight, and the moment you need something, suddenly I exist again. Her arms crossed. So now I can't ask my own husband for support? You can ask, I said. But you don't get to disappear on me for weeks and then expect me to hand over $5,000 like none of it happened. That's not how this works, Jenna. That's not how we work. You're seriously going to punish me over this? Her voice climbed, the way it always did when she felt cornered. I've been under so much stress, Marcus. Work has been insane. I didn't think you'd make this into some huge issue. I'm not punishing you, I said. I'm telling you the truth. For 3 weeks I came home to a wife who barely acknowledged I was in the room. I made you coffee every morning. I checked in on you every single day. I got nothing back. Not a hug, not a real conversation, nothing. And now you want me to write a check like I'm an ATM instead of your husband. The kitchen went quiet. I could see her jaw tighten, that flicker of anger she gets when she's not used to being told no. But underneath it, just for a second, I saw something else, something closer to guilt. I didn't realize it felt like that to you, she said finally. Quieter now. It felt exactly like that, I said. Every night. For 3 weeks. She looked down at her plate, pushing her food around without eating. I've just been overwhelmed. Between work and my mom's health stuff and Danielle needing help with this business plan, I think I just shut down. I didn't mean to shut you out specifically. I think I just shut everyone out and you happened to be the person closest to me. That's exactly the problem, I said. I'm your husband. I'm supposed to be the person you don't shut out. I'm the person you're supposed to lean on when things get overwhelming, not the last one you talk to and the first one you ask for money. She was quiet for a long moment, and I let the silence sit there instead of rushing to fill it the way I usually did. This time, I needed her to sit in it too. You're right, she said eventually, her voice cracking just slightly. I got so focused on fixing everyone else's problems that I forgot I was creating one at home. I'm sorry, Marcus. I really am. I don't want an apology just so we can move past this, I said. I want you to actually understand it. Because if this happens again, if you go silent on me for weeks and then show up smiling the second you need something, I'm not going to just absorb it and stay quiet like I did this time. She nodded slowly, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. I hear you. I do. Can we start over? Not the investment thing. Just us. Can we fix us first? That's all I've wanted for 3 weeks, I said. We talked for almost 2 hours that night. Not about Danielle's business, not about money, but about everything underneath it. The stress she'd been carrying alone, the way I'd been quietly resenting the distance without ever really saying so, the assumptions we'd both been making instead of just talking to each other. By the end of the conversation, the $5,000 never came up again. She didn't ask, and I didn't offer. A few days later, she told me she'd let Danielle know she wasn't in a position to invest right now. Not because I forbade it, but because she said, in her words, I need to fix what's actually broken before I go fixing someone else's business. Here's what I took away from that night. A lot of guys think holding a boundary makes you the bad guy. It doesn't. Saying no to $5,000 wasn't about punishing my wife. It was about refusing to let 3 weeks of being ignored get erased by one good evening and a smile. Respect isn't something you get to skip past because the timing's inconvenient. And love that only shows up when it needs. Something isn't love. It's a transaction wearing love's face. If you've ever been the guy who kept showing up while getting nothing back, who kept his mouth shut to avoid the fight, who almost said yes just to make the tension go away, I want you to know that setting the boundary doesn't make you cold. It makes you someone who respects himself enough to expect the same energy he's putting out. If this story hit home for you, hit subscribe to After Millennials and drop a comment letting me know if you've ever been in Marcus's shoes. We post real stories like this every week, so make sure that notification bell is on because next week's story might be the one you needed to hear.